The Ghost of German Engineering, How Borgward Sold a Century-Old Lie. In the gleaming halls of the 2015 Geneva Motor Show, automotive journalists and industry executives gathered around an unexpected sight: the resurrection of Borgward, a German car brand that had been dead and buried for over 50 years. The company's CEO, Christian Borgward, great-nephew of the original founder, stood proudly beside sleek concept vehicles adorned with the diamond logo that once graced the streets of Bremen in the 1950s. The marketing materials were immaculate, the heritage story compelling, and the promise of authentic German engineering irresistible to consumers hungry for European luxury at accessible prices. What the automotive world didn't immediately realize was that they were witnessing one of the most audacious examples of brand resurrection fraud in modern corporate history. The Borgward they were celebrating wasn't German at all. It was a carefully orchestrated Chinese operation designed to exploit European heritage for global profit. And the man presenting himself as the torchbearer of family legacy was about to become the face of a marketing deception that would span continents and fool millions of consumers. The original Borgward story reads like a classic tale of post-war German ingenuity and tragic corporate downfall. Karl Borgward founded his company in Bremen in 1919, building it into one of Germany's most successful automakers by the 1950s. The Borgward Isabella became an icon of German engineering, competing directly with Mercedes-Benz and BMW in the premium segment. At its peak, the company employed over 20,000 workers and exported vehicles to over 90 countries worldwide. However, financial troubles stemming from ambitious expansion plans and a complex web of subsidiary companies led to Borgward's bankruptcy in 1961. The brand disappeared from the automotive landscape, existing only in the memories of vintage car enthusiasts and the faded photographs of Germany's economic miracle years. For 5 decades, the Borgward name collected dust in trademark registries, while the automotive world moved on to new German success stories. What made the brand's 2015 resurrection so remarkable wasn't just the passage of time, but the sophisticated manner in which Chinese investors had acquired not just the trademark, but the entire narrative of German automotive heritage. The architect of Borgward's rebirth was Foton Motor, a subsidiary of China's massive BAIC group, one of the country's largest automotive conglomerates with annual revenues exceeding $50 billion. In 2014, Foton quietly acquired the dormant Borgward trademark through a complex series of legal maneuvers that involved multiple shell companies and international law firms. The acquisition wasn't announced with fanfare or press releases. Instead, it was buried in routine corporate filings that few industry observers bothered to scrutinize. Foton's strategy was breathtakingly simple. Chinese consumers had an insatiable appetite for European luxury brands, but Chinese automotive companies struggled with quality perceptions and brand prestige in international markets. Rather than spending decades building a reputation from scratch, why not buy one ready-made? The Borgward acquisition gave them instant access to decades of German heritage, a compelling founder's story, and most importantly, the legal right to market their vehicles as a European brand. The Chinese company even went so far as to establish a nominal design center in Stuttgart, allowing them to truthfully claim German operations while concealing the fact that all meaningful development, production, and corporate control remained firmly in Chinese hands. Christian Borgward's role in this elaborate deception adds layers of complexity that transform a simple trademark acquisition into something approaching corporate theater. As the great-nephew of founder Karl Borgward, Christian possessed the one thing Foton couldn't buy: legitimate family heritage. However, Christian had never worked in the automotive industry and had no significant business experience when Foton approached him in 2014. The Chinese company offered him a CEO position, equity stake, and the opportunity to resurrect his family's legacy, an offer that proved irresistible despite the obvious strings attached. Christian became the perfect frontman for Foton's operation, providing Western credibility and family authenticity while having minimal actual control over corporate strategy or vehicle development. His presentations at auto shows were masterfully crafted to emphasize emotional connections to German heritage while carefully avoiding specific details about manufacturing locations or corporate ownership. The arrangement allowed Foton to market their vehicles with phrases like "founded by the Borgward family" and continuing the legacy of German engineering, without technically lying, even as they fundamentally misrepresented the nature of the modern company. The vehicles themselves reveal the sophisticated nature of Foton's deception and the careful balance between authentic development and pure marketing fiction. The first new Borgward models, including the BX7 SUV launched in 2016, were indeed designed with input from German engineering firms and featured legitimate European automotive technology. Foton invested heavily in ensuring the vehicles met German safety and quality standards, understanding that any significant quality failures would expose their heritage marketing as hollow manipulation. The company even arranged for initial production to occur in a leased facility in Germany, allowing them to claim "Made in Germany" status for early vehicles while planning a rapid transition to Chinese manufacturing once the brand gained market acceptance. However, the German production was always intended as temporary window dressing. Internal corporate documents revealed that Foton viewed the European operations as pure marketing expenses rather than sustainable manufacturing strategy. The real development work occurred in Chinese facilities using Chinese engineers, with the German operations serving primarily to legitimize marketing claims and provide backdrop for press photographs. By 2020, the gap between Borgward's marketing narrative and operational reality had become a chasm that required increasingly creative explanations. The company's primary markets were China and emerging economies where German heritage carried premium positioning power, but actual German sales remained negligible despite years of marketing investment. Borgward's Chinese factories were producing tens of thousands of vehicles annually, while the German operations struggled to justify their existence beyond marketing value. Industry analysts began questioning why a supposedly German company had such minimal presence in its home market and why German automotive media seemed confused about the brand's actual origins. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed additional vulnerabilities in Borgward's narrative when supply chain disruptions revealed the extent of the company's dependence on Chinese operations for everything from component sourcing to final assembly. Meanwhile, Foton's financial statements, buried in Chinese regulatory filings, showed Borgward as a wholly owned subsidiary generating revenue primarily from Chinese domestic sales, directly contradicting the company's public positioning as a resurgent German manufacturer. The legal framework supporting Borgward's heritage marketing reveals the sophisticated understanding of international trademark law that enabled this deception to operate within technical compliance while fundamentally misleading consumers. Trademark rights don't automatically expire when a company ceases operations, but they can be acquired by new entities who then gain legal authority to use historical brand elements, including logos, names, and even heritage narratives. Foton's legal team carefully studied European Union trademark regulations and German corporate law to identify exactly what claims they could make without crossing into actionable false advertising. They discovered that terms like German heritage, European design, and legacy of excellence were legally defensible as long as they maintained minimal German operations and could demonstrate historical connections through trademark ownership. The company's marketing materials were vetted by international law firms to ensure every claim could be supported if challenged, creating a fortress of legal technicalities that protected the broader deception. Consumer protection advocates argued that the legal system was failing to address the spirit of trademark abuse, but courts consistently ruled that Borgward's marketing stayed within allowable boundaries, even as it clearly misled consumers about the company's actual nature. The broader implications of Borgward's heritage deception extend far beyond a single automotive company and illuminate fundamental vulnerabilities in how global consumers understand brand authenticity in an interconnected economy. Market research conducted in 2019 revealed that over 60% of Borgward customers believed they were purchasing vehicles from a German-owned company, with many citing German engineering reputation as their primary purchase motivation. The success of Foton's strategy sparked imitators across multiple industries, with Chinese companies acquiring dormant European trademarks in sectors ranging from fashion to consumer electronics. European policymakers began questioning whether existing trademark laws adequately protected consumers from heritage washing, but legislative remedies proved elusive given the international nature of modern corporate structures. The Borgward case highlighted how sophisticated marketing could exploit consumer psychology around national stereotypes and brand heritage, creating genuine economic value through carefully constructed narratives rather than product superiority. Academic studies of the phenomenon suggested that heritage marketing deception represented a new category of white-collar fraud that existing regulatory frameworks were poorly equipped to address. The ultimate unraveling of Borgward's German heritage fiction demonstrates how market forces eventually exposed what legal systems failed to prevent. By 2020, automotive journalists had begun investigating the discrepancies between Borgward's marketing claims and operational reality, publishing detailed exposés that traced the company's actual corporate structure back to Foton and BIC. German automotive industry associations distanced themselves from Borgward, with some explicitly stating that the company's Chinese ownership and manufacturing made its German heritage claims misleading at best. Consumer satisfaction surveys revealed quality issues that undermined the German engineering narrative, while warranty claims data showed concerning patterns that contradicted the company's premium positioning. Most damaging of all, leaked internal communications revealed Foton executives discussing Borgward explicitly as a branding exercise designed to borrow European credibility for Chinese vehicles. Christian Borgward's position became increasingly untenable as his role as willing participant in the deception became apparent, and by late 2020 he had quietly stepped back from public appearances while remaining nominally associated with the company. The COVID-19 pandemic delivered the final blow to the heritage narrative when Borgward's German operations were shuttered while Chinese production continued uninterrupted, making clear which operations were essential and which were merely for show. Today, Borgward continues to operate primarily in Chinese and emerging markets where the heritage narrative retains some marketing value, but the company's attempt to build global credibility through manufactured German authenticity has largely collapsed under scrutiny. The case stands as a cautionary tale about the intersection of globalization, trademark law, and consumer psychology in creating opportunities for sophisticated corporate deception. Foton's investment in acquiring and maintaining the Borgward deception cost hundreds of millions of dollars over 6 years, money that might have been better spent on genuine product development or authentic brand building. The regulatory response has been minimal, with most jurisdictions treating the matter as aggressive marketing rather than actionable fraud, despite clear evidence of systematic consumer deception. Consumer advocacy groups continue to push for stronger protections against heritage washing, but the international nature of modern corporate structures makes enforcement challenging even when political will exists. The Borgward story ultimately reveals how easily sophisticated marketing can manufacture authenticity in a globalized economy, where consumers lack the tools to verify the corporate narratives that influence their purchasing decisions. In an era where brand heritage can be bought and sold like any other asset, the line between legitimate business strategy and consumer fraud has become disturbingly thin, and the Borgward deception proves that sometimes the most effective lies are the ones that stay just within the boundaries of legal technicality.